Welcome to Club ToastEd's ToastEdopedia section called The Way to Accredited Speaker. And we are here to get a better understanding of what the Toastmaster Accredited Speaker designation is all about and what's really involved in attaining that accreditation. Today, my guest is Maurice DiMino. He received the Accredited Speaker designation at Toastmasters in 2018. And he also delivers keynotes for C-suite executives, mid-level managers, employees, and would you believe it or not, high schools and colleges. Absolutely fascinating. He is all the way from Los Angeles, California. Thanks for joining us today, Maurice.
It's a pleasure to be here, Marcus. Thank you so much for the invitation.
You're welcome. I'd like to start off by asking you, what is really the Toastmasters Accredited Speaker designation all about?
Sure. We have various designations in our lives, such as PhD, MD. Well, here, even in Toastmasters, we have the DTM. So it shows your designation. How far have you gone in your career, in your path? Well, in Toastmasters International, sure, we have the DTM, right? Which is the highest level you could receive within Toastmasters. Well, this is interesting. They said, okay, how far have you progressed in the professional aspect of public speaking, leadership skills, and all that, everything that Toastmaster stands for? So it's an accreditation from an international organization that says, yes, you have achieved the status of professional speaker. So in fact, if you look at my name, it's Maurice DiMino, DTM AS. So there it is. It's to the world. It shows that I have been vetted. I guess that's a good word. I've been vetted by an international organization that, yes, you are worthwhile to come and speak at various organizations. So it's a fantastic program, and I'm proud to be part of it.
Splendid. I'm excited to hear more. Now, what motivated you to become an accredited speaker and even a professional speaker?
Well, let's start with the latter. How did I become a professional speaker? Because I think it's an interesting story. I was in Toastmasters, enjoying a life outside of Toastmasters in sales, right? So I won the international speech contest at our club, and they said, okay, why don't you do the area? I won area, I won division, I won district, and like, wow. And then during this course, a fellow accredited speaker, Terry Mayfield, he was one of my coaches, one of my mentors, and he said, you can make a living speaking. I go, you can? He goes, yes, you can. Of course you can. And that was it. I took my passion from sales and I moved it into public speaking. And, that was back, I would say 2004. And that's how long I've been in the public speaking realm. Now, when it comes to the accredited speaker program, I might be a little bit different, Marcus, here in that I came in later into the accredited speaker program. I was already a professional speaker for over 10 years. And at one of our district meetings, we had the lovely Cheryl Roush, Toastmaster extraordinaire and accredited speaker. She came up to me and says, Maurice, you're going to be an accredited speaker. I'm like, why? I'm doing it already. She says it'll make a difference. So not realizing how much it would make a difference, I said, okay. So I went through the process. I went through the application process. And sure enough, I got the accredited speaker program. Now, you made mention of the groups I speak to. I would say this, half of those groups I would not be able to speak to if I did not have that lettering of accredited speaker. In other words, recognized by an international communication and leadership organization. So this accreditation, the accredited speaker designation definitely opened doors for me.
Splendid. Wonderful. Now, what subject matters do you speak about?
Well, I speak about leadership. And I think that, we have many different forms, many different ideas on how to be the best leader. We have John C. Maxwell's, the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership. We have John Wood and all these different things. I'm like, my gosh, there's too much to remember. So in my previous of leading people, managing people, I distilled it down to what I call is my WIN philosophy, the WIN. It's who you are, your integrity, and your network, the WIN. So that's what I share with people. So win at leadership, win at life, win at sales, that type of thing. So each one is specially designed for the particular audience I'm addressing.
Splendid. I love that. Win. I'm going to
Win.
use it if you don't mind.
Yeah, it's easy to remember, right?
It's
The
easy to
win.
remember, for
Your
sure.
your who, your integrity, your network.
I
Three
like the Team
things.
Integrity Network. Yeah, it's easy. It's simple and it's easy to remember. So that's great.
Yep.
Now, there are 89 accredited speakers out there, something like that, 89, 90. What number are you?
Well, this is a fascinating thing about the Accredited Speaker Program. You know, they don't pass this out like it's nuts and candies during Christmas. I'm number 78 since 1981. So it is a very select group. So that's why it is important. And you have definitely been vetted by fellow accredited speakers from this international organization. And, you know, being 78, that's something that I'm proud of and that I share with people. In fact, in my introductions, I will say the 78th person to receive this designation. So it's an unbelievable designation. And I say if people had the wherewithal listening to our interview here, I highly recommend go for your accredited speaker designation.
Splendid. So say someone wants to go for it. I don't know, maybe someone like me.
Okay.
All right. So what steps would you recommend for those who want to be an accredited speaker?
Well, first things first, I would say, and now I'm going to do a little bit, it's going to sound backwards because it sounds, people are like, oh, I'm just going to be an accredited speaker tomorrow. Well, you do have to be speaking because part of the application is you have to have 25 non-Toastmaster speaking events. So I would say this, start speaking. A lot of people say, well, I'm not a professional speaker. Well, you don't have to be a professional speaker to be a speaker. In fact, how I began my career was with, free to speak. So, service organizations. Again, start getting your name out there, and pretty soon it will one thing will lead to another till paid speaking. Now, you may not use those speeches for the application, but again, I believe that because of that 25 paid or 25 non-Toastmasters presentations, that's a pretty big hurdle to go over. That's why, I've been doing it for 10 years, so it was kind of not, I should never say it's easy, but it was kind of easy for me. But if somebody's just starting out like, hey, I'm going to be an accredited speaker tomorrow, my first advice is start speaking at non-Toastmasters event. And a lot of people say, well, is there speaking out there? Well, you can't believe that with every organization, they pretty much invite an outside speaker to come in and speak. So start developing your speaker resume. Then I would highly recommend Toastmasters, the website, toastmasters.org has fantastic information. In fact, I highly recommend for people to download the workbook right now because they have steps that you must adhere to, but within those steps, there's even more steps within those steps. Like, for example, I keep talking about this 25 presentations. Well, 25 of them have to be non-Toastmaster. I believe 7 can be non-paid. Then like 8 could be like per diem or you're given lunch or something. I mean, there's so many criteria within the criteria that I would highly recommend. It'd be too long to go through right now, but highly recommend download that workbook and start working on it right now.
Splendid. Now, I'm curious, you said about going to speak at places for free. Would places like the Lions Club count? Just out of curiosity?
Definitely. That's what I mean by service organizations. So you got the Lions Club, you got the Elks, you got Rotary, you got Kiwanis, you got so many different organizations out there. And another thing, what I suggest to people to do, even broach your local companies. How I did it was, everyone's familiar with lunch and learns. Well, if you're going to offer a lunch and learn, say, hey, while people are eating their lunch, because again, you got to think of how the company does want their employees to, go away from work. So say, hey, have your employees enjoy their lunch and let me speak to them during their lunchtime. Or I invented this new thing. Maybe I invented that, maybe I didn't, but I call it the breakfast break. How about 30 minutes before work starts, we do this program. So if work begins at 9 o'clock, let's have everyone show up at 8:25. I speak from 8:30 to 8:55. That's it. It doesn't get in the way of the work environment, but there, I am speaking to a non-Toastmasters group. Now, here's the beautiful thing. You never know what you put out there. Because when you speak for free, there's somebody in the audience that may pay you to speak at their organizations, in particular at a service organization or even at a company. They may love your breakfast break. They may love your lunch and learn and say, hey, you know what? Really like that program. What else do you have? And sure enough, I introduce people. I have my 3-hour program. I have my half day. I have my full day. I have my weekend. And there it is. You see how the snowball starts rolling and it gets bigger and bigger, and you get to build your speaking resume.
Splendid. Looking back, any hurdles that you felt you really had to overcome? Any big hurdles?
Well, with the accredited speaker program?
Correct. Yeah.
Well, remember I said 10 years. Now, this is going to sound really strange. For 10 years, I've been speaking out in the world, pretty much 1 day, 2 days, like full programs or entire weekends, Friday to Sunday. Well, with the video you have to submit, the video is anywhere from 20 minutes to 60 minutes. Well, when I did it, they just wanted 20 minutes. And I'm like, I don't know if I could take all my content and bring it down to 20 minutes, even though, yes, I know at Toastmasters, we speak for 5 to 7 minutes, but my professional speaking was, 6-7 hours at a clip. Then once I did that, I made it to level 2, which is the live presentation. I got to do it live in Chicago. That was 20 minutes. So I had to, again, compress it so that, again, we still follow Toastmasters. It has to have an open body and close. So I had to compress it down to 20 minutes. And Marcus, the biggest thing was to make it make sense. Not that I was going off in tangents, or not that I was speed speaking to get this content out there. So for me, it was taking this content and bringing it down.
That's the thing about speaking that I've noticed too. Some people said, well, you do 1 hour speeches or 45-minute speeches, just as an example, but maybe you can compress that to 15, 20 and still get your point across if you're a good speaker. So
yeah, that is for sure. And again, to go back to those service organizations, when they have you speak, they give you a 20-minute slot. So if for the viewers of this video, for this interview, what I would recommend, definitely time out your speech so that it comes out to 18 minutes. Because again, remember, you're actually an invited guest to present your ideas. And this is one thing that I did. I let people know that it's a 20-minute presentation. I spoke for 18 minutes. So like, oh my gosh, you didn't go on forever and ever and ever. And not only that, they actually will tell other clubs like, hey, this guy knows what he's talking about. He knows what we need. And from there, I kind of like, hop frogged from one to the next.
Splendid. I'm curious, just out of curiosity. So you were speaking for 10 years before you got the AS. Did you ever have a professional coach within that 10-year span?
Oh my gosh. Here we go. So we got Les Brown, we got Anthony Robbins, we got Jack Canfield. Yeah. I mean, I not only did I go through Toastmasters, but I probably spent 6 figures on my speaking.
Wow.
Why? Because I said, I'm going to be a professional speaker. So what does it take? So each one of those mentors gave me a different element. For example, T. Harv Eker shared with me how to sell from the front of the room. Les Brown shared with me how to bring that emotion and with stories in there. Anthony Robbins about audience participation and really bringing up the excitement. Jack Canfield bringing in the empathy. I mean, I could go through the litany, and that's what each one brought to the table. So yes, if you're going to be a professional speaker, remember professional. So therefore, hang around with people that made it. And yeah, you may have to invest in yourself, but I highly recommend to invest in yourself.
That's incredible. So first person I've heard accredited speaker had Anthony Robbins, Les Brown. That's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Oh yeah, I come from a long. As I keep saying, I stand on the shoulders of giants.
Nice. That's a good way of putting it. Splendid. Yeah. Well, Maurice, I want to thank you for coming on the show today and explaining about your experience being an accredited speaker, how you got there and what you've done afterwards. It's absolutely splendid having you.
Marcus, it was a pleasure. And again, for anyone that is interested in the accredited speaker program, don't forget, us accredited speakers, we're here to be of assistance. So please reach out. You have the full listing of all the accredited speakers on the Toastmasters website.
Splendid. Just one last point before you go. If anyone wants to get in touch with you, how can they do so? LinkedIn?
Yes, the best. I'm on LinkedIn. You see the spelling of my name here with this interview. Definitely send me a request, just like you did, Marcus, and let's connect. I'm here to be of service.
Great. Thanks once again. And I just want to wish yourself a wonderful evening.
Likewise, Marcus. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right. Take care.